Ladies and G's, today we are making our cheesy chicken broccoli pasta bake. So, if you like something creamy, something warm, something cozy, this is the way to go. And it's very easy to make, and I promise you, your loved ones are gonna enjoy this meal. So, I started off by cutting my chicken breast into cubes. So I used 2 chicken breasts, but you can still use more if you like. It's acceptable. Then I seasoned it with salt, pepper, and garlic and herb. Then I mixed everything together just to blend in the flavors. In a pot, I added a spoon of olive oil and butter. So I used both butter and olive oil. So olive oil is for frying and butter is for flavor. Once my butter has melted, I then added my chicken breast. Let them fry until golden brown. Then I removed them from the pot and set them aside. Then in another pot, I boiled my pasta in salted water. So here you can use any pasta you like. I just prefer using this one. So while my pasta is boiling, I then prepared my broccoli. I cut it into smaller pieces, remove those big stems, and in the last 2 minutes of my pasta, I then added my broccoli. I let it simmer for 2 minutes. So just make sure it's fully dipped inside that boiling water. Then I switch off my stove. I let it sit for another minute. I then moved over to the cheese sauce. So I chopped my onion into smaller pieces. Then in the same pot which I was cooking my chicken breast, I melted some butter, then sauteed my onion and my garlic. Once everything was ready, I added 2 tablespoons of flour, then continued to stir to form a roux. Then I gradually added milk and continued to stir to prevent lumps and burning. So I added 2 cups of milk, but your sauce must be equivalent to your pasta and your broccoli. So once my sauce is a bit thick, I then grated some cheese. So this is a mixture of mozzarella and cheddar cheese. I then added my cheese in my sauce, then seasoned it with salt, garlic and herb, and black pepper. I let that cook until it was very smooth. Then I added my chicken breast, then folded my chicken breast in. Then I added my pasta and my broccoli. I also fold them in until everything is covered with the sauce. Once everything was combined, it was now time to transfer everything into my baking pan. So I gradually transferred my pasta into my baking pan. Then I spread it across evenly. Then I sprinkled some cheese. So that's mozzarella and cheddar cheese. Then in a saucepan, I melted some butter. Then toasted my breadcrumbs until they are golden brown. Then I sprinkled them on top of my cheese. Then I added a little bit of olive oil. Then for that extra crunchiness, I sprinkled some Parmesan cheese. And for the garnish, I went with some Italian parsley. And now it was time to put it in the oven. So I baked this for 25 minutes. And then after 25 minutes, this is how it came out. Look at that. It was very crunchy on the outside and soft and creamy on the inside. I can tell you that for sure. Comfort food doesn't get any better than this. This is something you should try at home and you won't go wrong. It was very delicious. It was very warm and cozy. Ladies and gentlemen, it's all chocolate love.